Ian.
Hello, Dave.
First of all, Ian,
Yes.
it is fantastic to be back in the blanket fort.
It is extremely great to be back in the blanket fort. We've been off for a few weeks.
We have listeners. You may have noticed that your intelligence has probably been going up steadily over the past couple weeks.
Regaining brain cells.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because we're essentially nitrous oxide in podcast form. But this is going to be a little bit of a different episode. We were off a couple weeks because my father passed away, and so Ian and I just kind of wanted to do a show that was a tribute to him, and just kind of talk about that kind of stuff for an episode. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so we're going to keep the swears to a minimum because I'll send this to my mom, and and there we go.
I'll do my best. There's Mom. Sorry in advance.
Yeah. You can contribute. Yeah.
I'll just
right.
Put more in the swear jar now. Yeah.
Yeah. So I, obviously, like, this is kind of a crazy time, but something, a lot of us have to deal with. And so, we just kind of, this is our island,
Right.
Podcasting is our island. And when stuff happens in our lives, we do take, solace and refuge in our podcast island, and so I'm really thankful to be back here with you. One thing that has really been helping me get through stuff is finding out how, like, other people's days are,
Right.
and like how they're doing, and like getting back to a routine.
Yeah.
And so, like, thank you for recording with me, and but I want people to know that I want the tone of the show to be upbeat, because I love my father very much, and he while his death was sudden and unexpected, quite possibly he had a massive heart attack, and so it was just like lights out switch for him. He was doing yard work at the time, like what he loved, and nobody else was hurt, like, or anything like that. We talked about on the show, my parents had come to visit.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Just
like
before that.
What, a week
a
before?
week. Yeah. A week before. Yeah. Like 6 days before.
Crazy.
And I'm really thankful that nothing happened, like, while he and my mom were driving back to Missouri,
Right.
in the car, that he's not incapacitated. And I'm thankful that, I'm thankful that, if this is how it had to happen, that this is how it did happen,
Right.
And so today we just kind of want to talk about, I just want to talk about, my dad's car history and his influence on me when it came to being a car guy, because he's very much, he really loved cars, and just kind of go from there. So, yeah.
So one thing I want to ask straight
Yeah.
is, I've found that, people's reactions to finding out about this show, people in my life found out about this show.
Yeah.
What was his reaction to, like, I have a show about cars now?
Oh, yeah, that's a good question. He wasn't the most technologically adept individual.
Uh-huh.
So, you kind of had to explain what a podcast was. He was super stoked that we were legitimate journalists, and he thought it was really cool. He just kept saying, that's how you start. You start small, and then,
Right.
like, he just was all in,
Cool.
and and super supportive. I like, looking back on things, like I honestly only have, in my life and my relationship with my father, I only have one thing that I wish I could have done.
Mm-hmm.
And I wish that we would have gotten to the point where we were getting press cars and taken one back to Missouri to show him.
Right.
Because even if it was like a Mitsubishi Mirage, he would have been over the moon, like, excited that like a manufacturer just handed me a car.
Right.
Right. But,
Because he'd be like, I wouldn't hand you a car.
Exactly. He would always scold me for hot rodding around,
Nice.
And I'm like, not when I was a kid, like within the last like 6 months.
That's really funny.
He and my mom got to ride in Dusty Rusty, when it was full like stage 3 and everything. And so he was, quite intimidated by by that car.
To be fair, I've driven cars that were much faster than that car, and your car is terrifying.
Yeah.
So,
Right. So that's he didn't listen to the podcast. He wishes that we would never use profanity on the podcast. One of his coworkers said something about the profanity, that I use, because like a good kid, I lock it down when I'm around them out of respect, right? Because they never swear very much. Like as they've gotten older, he and my mom would like let loose a damn or a shit.
Oh wow.
Right? And so, right? But
let the record show that Dave swore on this show. And
I know. It was context. Right? And so stuff like that. But he's my dad,
Right.
Yeah. I don't really know like really where to start, but like, my driving influences because of my father, right? I mean, your father is ingrained in your driving influences, mine and in mine as well. And the first car that I got was my dad's 88 Nissan pickup truck, and so I started by driving. Like sitting in the passenger seat, and he would let me shift,
Right.
Right? It was a 4-speed manual transmission, right?
Yeah.
Which is what we should call British practice, right? Because you're shifting with your left hand.
It's really not that helpful.
Right.
In the grand scheme of things.
Right? But yeah, it had a bench seat, and you're there, and like you're doing something,
Yep.
Yeah, and then it gets kind of to the point where you lean over and hold the wheel and stuff like that, and then when it came time for me to learn how to drive that truck, what he did is doing yard work or something like that. The bed was full of something. I can't even remember what. But it was kind of heavy, and so his thought was that if the truck was loaded down, it would kind of buck less, as I was learning how the clutch worked. Right. And so he took me down to where he worked in the parking garage, and we practiced on the ramps. You had flat space to practice and on the ramps. So we could practice inclines.
That's smart. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, pro tip, learning how to drive a manual. Like a parking garage is a pretty good little place to start.
The drawback to that strategy is that there is a lot more expensive things to hit in pretty close proximity. So there is that drawback.
Exactly.
Not totally risk-free.
Right. Exactly. If you don't have an abandoned hill near you, maybe look into that. Yeah. So, 88 Nissan pickup, that I loved so much. It's one of my favorite cars I've ever had, and he drove that. And then I got that because he bought a 94 Nissan pickup truck. Right. In blue with a teal like accent thing, because everything had a teal accent
1994.
thing. Right, exactly, right? Yeah, we had teal accent stuff.
Teal had a good year in 94.
It did.
It was a good year for teal.
I want to pull up a picture of it. Yeah, it was a king cab and 2-wheel drive, and Nissan 90, and this is back when Nissan just called it the
pickup,
the hard body pickup truck. Yeah. Let's see here. Yeah, king cab. It had the little sideways jump seats in the back.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I was just glad because the seat would finally go back far enough that I could sit comfortably in it.
Yeah.
This isn't. Oh yeah, that's like a weird variant of it. Yeah, I don't know. Shoot. Having a hard time finding a fair use image of it. I'm sure there's a 110 picture of me, 110 film picture of me in that pickup truck somewhere.
Right.
But so then I don't know why we're showing a Nissan Presea, But
so what did he have before that?
So before he had the 88 pickup truck, I think he had a Datsun pickup truck, and then before that he had a Chevy Love. Remember Chevy Love?
Yeah.
You remember? Yeah, and here it is. This is his actual Chevy Love, and our family dog Fluffy in the corner of the picture.
That's
here,
awesome.
Fluffy's butt. Look at this color scheme. Right, because I would drive anything that had that color scheme to this day. But I guess the Chevy Love was kind of a hunk of junk. Like it rusted like crazy and stuff like that. But yeah, so that was
that's really
was
funny.
His pickup. Yeah.
So he was a big fan of like the small pickups.
He was. Oh yeah, he loved the small pickups.
So what did he do after that? After those all kind of dried up, did he get into a Ranger? Or?
No. Yeah, he didn't. He was issued a city car eventually. So he was driving around. He was commuting to work in a Ford Crown Vic.
Oh,
and so my dad was a police officer for 26 years, and so he has a long history with Ford Crown Vics.
Yeah,
and
I'm sure he was really thrilled to have another one to drive around.
Yeah. I remember stories of my dad like wrecking a car while he was on the police force for like 7 consecutive years, and then like the 8th year when he finally didn't wreck one, he got like some safe driving award. Yeah, that my one of the founding things about my father was his humility. So getting stories like this out of him were really hard, and so a lot of this kind of stuff about him, like with like police work and stuff like that, didn't open up until like honestly like the last like 3 or 4 years.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And so that's when like kind of the floodgates were kind of opened for like crazy stories. Like when he worked in the jail, he was a sergeant in the downtown jail. Like someone was trying to hang themselves in the cell, and he went in and cut them down with his pocket knife.
Jeez.
Right? And then like he went home and didn't even tell any of us about it.
That's
like,
crazy.
how was your day? It was fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. So very very humble man. Didn't really talk shop a lot.
Yeah.
That's
crazy.
And during his police career, we'll have to see if we can find a picture of this. The now known as a racist term, he drove a.
Oh wow, this you're
loaded question.
Yeah, you're gonna hand that one to me.
It's a slur towards Irish people. A paddy wagon. Yeah. Right now they call them like the drunk vans.
Right.
Yeah. But that was what my dad drove for a long time on the police force, and then later on it was street work and Crown Vics and stuff.
Right.
But a paddy wagon. It's insane. Like that's one of those things that like maybe like 5 years ago I was like, oh no, we should not say that ever again. We should not say that ever. Yeah. Right.
Yeah, it's pretty funny.
Yeah. Which I think were just kind of like they were more similar to like vans than anything else. Yeah, they were just vans that were converted for that kind of stuff. Now it kind of looks more like an ambulance, but yeah.
Right.
So he drove that for a long time with his in his police career. Let's see.
Paddy wagon.
Other notable things about my dad and cars. He was the one that almost always drove, like on family trips and family vacations. And so when we would take family vacations, it was usually my sister, my mom, and I in I think it's a Chevy station wagon. I have a picture of it with wood grain.
Nice.
And here we all are. Here's young Dave. Here's my sister, my mom, and my dad. And
I have that same Adidas outfit.
Do you? Yeah.
No?
You're wearing it right now? Yeah. Yeah. And look, I'm even holding a video game then.
That's hilarious.
Right? Yeah, like one of those little LCD games.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
also, those shorts are like pretty long, but like you have an absurd amount of thigh showing.
I'm kind of all leg. I mean, look at my dad, right?
Yeah.
I have my dad's legs and I are like exactly the same. Yeah,
That's funny.
Yeah, like look at like his knees down here,
Yeah. That's really funny.
Yeah. So we would drive every summer. Our family vacation was from Kansas City, Missouri, to see my mom's side of the family in Johnstown, Pennsylvania, and then my dad's side in New Jersey, and then we would stop back in Pennsylvania to like refuel and restock on sandwiches and stuff, and then head back to Kansas City.
Nice.
And my parents would do it like, we used to stop like halfway, but then we got to the point where we were just driving straight through.
Yeah.
And so my dad's just like white knuckling it across Missouri and Indiana and in the station wagon wall. And this was one of the ones where it didn't have the jump seat, which meant my sister and I were just thrown in the back, like,
right.
Just
rattle around back there.
Uh-huh. Yeah. I remember just being so hot from the sun beating in and stuff like that, but so for a long time that was the family vacation. And so then from the wood paneled station wagon, then we moved to a wood paneled minivan, a Dodge Caravan, and then a Chrysler Town and Country.
Yep.
And all with wood grain. And and so my sister and I would mainly sleep, and we would say things like oh, we have to go to the bathroom, and my dad would always say, no, you don't. He conditioned us, which is insane given my current road trip performance where I have to pee every 8 minutes.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. He conditioned us to the point where we could make it from Kansas City to St. Louis without stopping to go to the bathroom. And that's a 4-hour drive.
Yeah, it is.
Which is normal for someone like you who can just tell your body to shut it down.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not that complicated. You synchronize your bladder with the gas tank. As one depletes, the other fills. It's not that difficult.
But I love coffee so much. I just want to drink it all the time.
I know you do, buddy.
Yeah. But the thing that I always really admired about my dad's car history, our parents had cool cars. They had cool cars, right?
Yeah.
Well, maybe except for my mom. She had a Renault Le Car at one point.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Right. But yeah, so my dad had a 68 Plymouth Roadrunner, and here he is. This is in Kansas City. So it had the 6-pack, which is 3 2-barrel carbs, and the I can't remember what this hood was called. It was called like the Vortex hood or Tornado hood, something like that. And so he had that car when he moved from New Jersey to Pennsylvania. But when he was back home in New Jersey and had that car, which is where he bought it, I guess a thing to do at the time was to take the hubcaps off of your car.
Mm-hmm.
You know about this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they wouldn't go like 1970s cop car movie, like rattling down the street every time you went around a corner.
Right. Yeah. And it was also like street cred, like your car was so fast it could knock them off.
Right.
So he would like pull out of my grandparents' driveway and go around the block, take the hubcaps off and put them in the car. And then, because his dad would always yell at him for for hot rodding just like he did to me.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
That's really funny.
And then he would stop on the way back, put them back on, and pull in the driveway. Right? Yeah.
That's really funny.
Yeah. So, yeah.
It's a super cool car though.
It is. I always thought if I could ever get him some stick time in a Roadrunner again, that would be really cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, yeah. So, let's see, I have some notes. Teaching me how to drive a stick. That was a lot of fun. White knuckling in the minivan, Yeah. A lot of good car related memories, with my dad. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. But also I wanted to take a little bit of time to thank everybody that talked to us on social media and everybody that reached out to us. And first and foremost, I'd like to thank my amazing girlfriend for all of her love and support and everything that she's done to help me through this. I couldn't do this without her. And I want to thank you and Jenny and Nico. Nico drew me a very nice card.
Yeah, card.
Yeah,
Present. He said. Yeah.
What was his first draft of it that you said?
So he's 3, so I didn't want to go too much into detail.
Right,
obviously.
right, yeah.
But I told him, Mr. Dave is. He calls Dave Mr. Dave.
Yeah.
Mr. Dave is having kind of a rough time. He's maybe a little sad right now.
Way more formal than I deserve. Yeah.
Well, you're Mr. Dave. You're just Mr. Dave in our house, and so Nico, I was like, "Do you want to make him a card?" He's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna draw him a picture." So I drew him a picture, and I was like, "Well, what do you want the card to say?" And his first draft was, "Mr. Dave is sad."
I love that so much.
Just Mr. Dave is sad.
You should have just ran with that.
Period. I was like, I think we can do better. Let's try again.
Yeah.
And so the second draft was, "We love you, Mr. Dave."
Aw.
So we went with that.
Okay.
Because that seemed a little more appropriate than Mr. Dave is sad.
I love it. Also, you found a Missouri sticker somewhere?
Yeah, Jenny has we get sticker books for him because we hate our furniture.
Yeah. Dude, kids and stickers are the best thing.
Right, and he happened to have one that had all the states in it, and so I grabbed the Missouri one.
Aw.
I told him to put that one on. I can't give him credit for that.
I like that. Yeah. And yeah, that's awesome. I want to thank Katie and Lauren for everything that they said, and Nathan and Eric, your dad and your mom.
Yeah.
Yeah, Travis. I'm just going to run through a bunch of folks that said something, and I'm really, really thankful for every one of you guys. I'm really thankful for everybody that listens, and I'm sorry that we had to be offline for a couple weeks. It was kind of eating at me, I was like, you want to return to that island, Yeah. Yeah. You know?
And it's hard to when you're in this position too of like, I know he probably wants to get back to it, but I don't want to push.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah.
But you get it. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So Travis, DJ, my coworker Martha, Ike, Judd and Gina, Hannes, Isaac, KB, my coworker Chris, my buddy Stuart, Jake, of course, our friend Jackstan Warrior, Jesse, James, Israel, Adrian Gonzalez, and Angela with Creative Auto Reviews. I know I'm probably forgetting people, but
our listeners are awesome.
Yeah, and I'm really thankful for every single one of them. I just I can't believe that you guys waste time by listening to this. But
well, and I want to just say one thing.
Sure.
So I never got the chance to meet your dad.
Yeah. I'm sorry for that.
Yeah, that's okay. I mean, but I know that all of the nice things you say about him are totally correct and on point because I know you. And
thank you.
He obviously did an amazing job with you. Starting you off in pickup trucks, maybe not, but no, obviously.
Yeah. Well, thank you, man. That's really sweet. Yeah, I appreciate it. My for being a police officer and kind of having to maintain that kind of gruff persona.
Mm-hmm.
My dad really had a very high degree of sensitivity, and he was the one that in my life showed me that like a soft heart and sensitivity was the way to handle things, and not the typical masculine punch your problems, like that was, even though he was a cop and that, like he was in those positions where, it's hard stuff,
Mm-hmm.
His sensitivity was really, it was a huge influence on me. The way that he and my mom had their relationship was truly a partnership. That was a huge. It is a huge influence on me. The way that he viewed women as equals. Especially like all of this stuff. My parents are pretty religious, and in some of the more fundamental aspects of it. They kind of looked past some of the structure that the church provided when it came to that kind of stuff. And I'm really thankful for that because they knew the stuff that like wouldn't work for them.
Mm-hmm.
And then they just did their own thing. And so they, they really were a team, and they were equals. It wasn't like the man is the head of the household or anything like that. And I'm hugely influenced by that, you know, and thankful to have that, it just, my dad had this really, really interesting personality quirk or like personality like facet where if he was excited about something, everyone heard about it. Like he couldn't help but share it with everybody, whether they like really cared or not. Like he was excited about it and he wanted to share it with people. And so like things like the things that like I would hear when I talked to him on the phone, like, he became fascinated with a retirement village in Pennsylvania where my aunt works called Masonic Homes. And he was telling everybody about Masonic Homes.
That's hilarious.
My parents toured it when they were back visiting.
Well, and you showed me a picture of his recent purchase, right?
Oh, yeah.
That he was super excited about.
Yeah. This is my dad's lawnmower, and there's my dad right there, and that's him doing what he loves. Yeah, he had just gotten that. He mowed the lawn with it a couple times, and like so I heard all about the lawnmower. He loved it so much, and like he was obsessed with LED lights. So like any holiday, any gift, like I just like Amazon LED something, and like just find like the cool like LED stuff and add to cart. Super easy to shop for. I made him these slippers for around the house one time with like LED shoelaces, and and so he was stoked on those. What
did your mom think of those?
She just thought it was hilarious. Yeah, she loved it. Yeah, and speaking of LEDs and my mother, there was a bad storm that rolled through when we were driving back from Missouri to Colorado, and my mom was without power for a little while, but because my dad was so obsessed with LED flashlights, like my mom's house was probably like glowing, like in a neighborhood of complete darkness. Yeah.
That's funny.
I got him one of those like one time I got him one of those like the Harbor Freight like lightsaber LEDs, the under hood one. That's
those things are awesome.
Yeah. And so my mom had that, in the house. So she was fine. Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah. Like clear duct tape. When they made it clear, I didn't hear the end of it, and so yeah. So, if there's things that I want people to think of, if they think of my father,
LED flashlights,
but just that infectious quality where like if you find something that you love, don't be afraid to love what you love.
Yeah.
And share it with others, and it's my dad was truly a shining light, and I'm really thankful for him. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So, I'm thankful to be back in the blanket fort with you. I'm thankful to have that back, and
Yeah, I'm glad that everything went as well as it possibly could have.
Yeah.
And that you're back.
Yeah.
And then we got confirmation that our listeners are amazing.
Oh my gosh.
And all of that.
Yeah.
So.
I can't thank everybody enough, and so I really appreciate it. Yeah. But yeah, so we'll get back to our normal tomfoolery.
Yeah, normal service will be resumed next week.
Yeah.
But, this was important to do, and it's our show, so we get to do it.
Yeah, exactly. And if anybody from my family is listening, you might not want to listen to any of our other episodes.
Strongly advise against it.
Yeah. Maybe watch the Pacifica video.
There we go.
Which my dad saw that and said, you should send that to Chrysler.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I was like, well,
really
Dad,
funny.
Chrysler was in the car. Yeah. Yeah. So, this is TeamClearCoat, and and there we go.
Yeah.
All
Normal
right.
service resumed next week.
Yep.
We love you, everyone. Dave,
We really do.
I'm happy that you're back to normal.
Thanks,
Everything's-
buddy.
We're getting back into it.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Yep.
All right.
All right.